This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Joey asks me about things that don't make sense. Woo!
I was working as a waitress in a This is what a Joey sounds like. And this is what an executive producer and Simple Minds Jess Vander sounds like.
Rude. Hi, this is Jess.
I think that's the name of the band, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, it is. Simple Minds. The reason we're doing this is because I saw an Australian dude do an entire rendition of that song, Don't You Want Me, where he only sang I was working at a waitress in a cocktail bar over and over again to the rhythm of the song, and the crowd was eating it up. Guy was killing.
Isn't that the Human League?
Oh, what did Simple Minds do? No. Oh no, that Simple Minds was. See, I was like, don't you want me? But they sang, don't you forget about me. Different don't you. That's
don't you.
Jessica.
Jessica.
Can we talk about things that don't make sense, why they make sense?
Okay.
I came across this thing and I'd seen it a long time ago and it never really like sunk in, or I didn't pay much attention, but I bumped into it again recently, called the Benner cycle. Have you heard of the Benner cycle?
No.
It is a diagram that was apparently like created by like an Ohio farmer in the mid 1850s trying to predict like farming markets of like, you know, corn and I don't know, orange futures, things like that. And he made this diagram where it's like a series of different triangles of like times to buy, when panic cycles happen, all of these things. And when I bumped into it recently, maybe because I'm older than the last time I saw it and I have more recent history, I was like, like this is at least coarsely like quite accurate. And I was like, you know, some of the stuff is like a little blurry, but it is sort of like a court, you know, it points like 1999 as a panic cycle. It's like late 99 into 2000, the .com crash, whatever. So it's like not like to the day or something like that. But I was like, wait, like, is this a real thing? Like, and it points like good times in these series of triangles going into the future, being like 2026 will be great. My heart's like, oh, wonderful. 2026 will be great.
Oh, good.
Just like look forward to the good times. And so my question for you is, should we believe this, and or what are places where wisdom exists where it shouldn't?
Where it shouldn't. Just because we can't always know why doesn't mean that it shouldn't. I mean, the first thing that I thought of was like my favorite Cliff Tan, the modern feng shui writer and also TikToker, who creates little like 3D printed IKEA furniture layouts and arranges rooms because he's an architect and an interior designer, trying to figure out like what would be the best way to lay these things out spatially for you to feel comfortable. And his whole philosophy is, well, let me explain to you why this rule of feng shui also aligns to some of your own just like biological discomforts, why it is more uncomfortable to sit with your back to a door in a room than it is to sit with your back to a wall facing the door and the rest of the room. Like that just is more comfortable. It also is just, if you are following the rule of feng shui, that's what it would tell you to do, but based on, you know, elemental symbols, based on, you know, like what's the Bagua. This is the set of symbols of like illustrating the nature of reality. These are like essential pieces. You probably have even if like seen this in various Chinese symbologies before. You might like recognize this thing, but it has all of these different pieces, but also very functionally. I'm sure anyone listening to this is like, yeah, I can relate to like being a little uncomfortable having my back to the door, like you can't see who's walking in. And so I feel like there's things like that where it's like, well, why does there need to be a certain kind of wisdom that is better than another? How important is it that we need to explain certain things? Obviously, maybe for some, it's like you don't want to turn a wisdom into a rule that shouldn't be, or that isn't guaranteed. Like you don't want to fall in love with a rule that isn't guaranteed, but maybe it is guaranteed, and maybe you just can't explain it.
Yeah. It's like the difference between wisdom that is good, that is shrouded in magical thinking, versus wisdom that comes from some other source. Like even within feng shui, like the idea of like, don't sleep with your side to like a door because your money's going to go out the door or something like that, where it's like, actually, like, don't do that because it feels strange. Like,
or why not? Because your money will go out the door. Like, why can't that be it?
I don't know. It's hard to put like causality of why you're broke because your bed was positioned wrong in a room that was like strangely designed and you could only put it one way. It's like, well, you should have figured it out.
Should have thought about that.
Now you're broke because when you were 27, you got a strange apartment.
Yeah, exactly. That was your bad. You should not have put rent money towards that apartment. It was just going to run you dry. No, but
Can you imagine like feng shui Zillow, where it's like, this house says it's worth this much, but did you see the third bedroom?
This is a tremendous
Your
idea.
child is going to be broke.
This is a very, very good business idea for anyone listening. I mean, call us up. It's a really good idea.
Buy this house if you don't love your second born. They will be broke if you buy this house.
I think
like on the face of this Benner cycle is like, it's a series of triangles with repeating numbers. Like in theory, like you think complex systems, economies, whatever should be like more robust. And it's obviously, again, coarse, but like it shouldn't map out like there should, but you're like, oh, well, actually it kind of does. Like, should we just be doing like weird, like, let's invent a chart that we'd like draw some shapes and repeating patterns and be like this is actually like your lunch order cycle and the happiest people will order lunch in this pattern.
I mean, the highly rational among us would say, well, it again depends. Is there some kind of prevailing logic, causality, what have you, underpinning that diagram? Or does it just so happen to so conveniently look like this, and now we're just divining, or, we're seeing clouds that look like shapes, like boats, like whatever it is that we want to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's where it's like, it comes back to, like, do you think feng shui is intended to be predictive? It's intended to be causal, right? Like this Benner cycle was like an attempt at making sense of like how certain financial markets move, right? Like in an earlier time where we did not know a lot about how financial market, like the Black Scholes model had not been invented in 1850.
Well, I mean, certainly other maybe related principles. I mean, feng shui has its origins, though I'm certainly no expert, but its origins in Taoism, and it is specifically about things that are relational, like things that are like how this affects this. And whether you're calling it, qi, whether you're calling it yin and yang versus, security and comfort versus obscurity, like whatever words you want to use to describe certain things. Like, I feel like the reason that feng shui could work by whatever way you describe it is because there is an underpinning logic of how things relate to each other. Maybe coming from very, very different perspectives, there is some amount of diagram overlap of the two circles of like how whatever it is that you have as your sort of your mental model. It's kind of a universal thing that some things just happen to affect each other in certain ways, and it has been reinforced over time, and someone thought it was worth writing down and passed down and practiced.
Yeah, I mean, feng shui to me feels like cultural technology in the way that like Joseph Heinrich talks about cultures develop technology within,
Right.
and that can be like bureaucracy, administrative dynamics, like social hierarchy, like different things. But he talks about it as cultural technology, and feng shui, like in that it evolved over thousands of years and like was pressurized and people push, you can imagine at some point in like the Qing dynasty where someone's like, actually, no, we need to shift 90 degrees on what our alignment is on the bed for these reasons. But like it has been pressure tested over that time versus like the Benner cycle feels like an individual's attempt. It is not like used, like, people in finance don't use this. I was just looking at it and I was like, this weird diagram of triangles feels like more accurate than I would expect it to be. But like conversely, in that same way of like technical analysis is the term I was mentioning earlier of like people who try to like read in shapes like clouds in like moving finance diagrams, like they're on the like Bloomberg terminal and they're like, that looks like a dragon, sell. Like it doesn't actually, has like really weak correlation, but there's like a whole group of people who are like, yep, you got to avoid the double bunny hop. Like I'm making up these terms.
I like them. No, they're really funny. Yeah, but like that part reminds me more of a conversation we had a while back about rules of thumb. Like, some rules of thumb are rules of thumb for a reason. Others are maybe because they're sort of because people love rules, and if this then that is easy as like, all right, like we can have the protocol that every time I see a double dragon, like I'm selling all the stocks, like that's what we're doing. But on the flip side, I think part of what's interesting here is that we should also not be closed off to something that we cannot explain, but that appears to be a pattern, whether it's happening on the time scale of years and maybe cultural generational behavioral loops, or maybe even on sort of the individual scale of, every time I do this, I seem to get a tummy ache, and it turns out I'm allergic to pineapple.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like I looked up some. It looks like a rounding bottom and a cup and handle. We gotta sell. Yeah. I mean, it is just this like difficulty of pattern recognition, but I'm always like amazed. I had a conversation and someone was like, oh, it's going to be a wet winter. And I was like, what? Like El Nino? Like, what do you, and they're like, no, Farmer's Almanac. And I'm like, do we still believe in the Farmer's Almanac?
What about the wisdom of the farmers?
Yeah.
Farmers know a thing.
Yeah. I'm just like, does it play out? Like, I think we're in this mode of like, we're in our orientation towards science, at least in the past 100 years, like we're testing a lot of historical wisdom, and some seems to play out and some doesn't. And what's interesting is what is our risk tolerance to this wisdom, right? Like the Benner cycle is like where I say coarsely accurate is like give or take a year. Like those things seem to be playing out in that cycle, not to the exact series of triangles, but like, oh, like it generally seems to have like some gravitational pull towards these types of events. but like not enough to be able to like run a hedge fund with it or like manage your 401k based on like, well, the Benner cycle said like,
right.
So like your risk tolerance is greater, but like your risk tolerance of where you put your bed is lower. So like feng shui feel like as good as any other sort of model, because like the negative externality of like organizing your room wrong is not so significant unless you believe that you'll lose all your money.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and also I feel like for almost anything, timing and valence are unpredictable, but the nature of things may be more so. Like that something is cyclical at all.
yeah.
It's like, well, that hideous shoe style has returned. Like we know that's the way certain things go. But if you insisted on wearing the jelly shoes 10 years ago, people would be like, oh my gosh, you're woefully out of fashion. And look at who's laughing now. Look at those Walmart shelves. Like, they've got them in stock.
Yeah. Laughing your way straight to the lookbook.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is this like, I'm trying to think about the places where we do it, where it's hard to come to a right, feng shui and like organizing your home and making it look and feel nice, right? Like similarly, I feel like all of the personality tests and the pursuit of trying to understand yourselves and others, like there's not a predictive model that has been found yet that is like going to tell you how people will act. It's like too complex of a system to be able to input all of the variables to output but like we get sort of seemingly closer. Like I don't know what the data says on like enneagrams, but people are like, enneagrams seem like a more accurate model than Myers-Briggs, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like incremental improvement at like personality prediction in the same way of like, right, like most people who are really into like the zodiac or things like that are just trying to be like, I'm just trying to predict like how people are acting or why they're acting in ways that I can't understand.
Exactly.
And so it's hard to like hold that against anyone. You're just trying to like make sense of the world around you, whether it's through a series of triangles or like making sure your money doesn't get pulled by a ghost out of your like, bedroom door.
I have been losing money recently. Wonder what could be causing it.
Do you have like a woo-woo-y type of thing? Like, like all of these things are varying degrees of like woo-woo-y things I don't mean that necessarily disparagingly, but like, do you have one that you're like, actually, no, like I just rock with this one?
Knives and timepieces as gifts must be paid for. Like you can't give them as gifts. That is a personal one for me. Like if we've ever like given someone a knife on their wedding registry or something, we make them pay us like a cent or something. I'm just like,
give me a penny.
My brother got me a pair of kitchen shears for my birthday, and I paid him 1 cent to make sure there would be no,
because you're like cutting your life short.
It's death. So, yeah.
Huh.
Oh, you want to know a fun one?
Yeah.
So random, but BMW had to change their interface in car dashboards because in China, in the sort of selector in the car, in the contact book, it would put a white box around people's names, and that's what you do when they've died. And so they had to change the whole interface system because it was this like horrible, foreboding design.
Did they just
system.
change the color of the box?
No, you just don't put them in a box like that. Don't put them in a box.
Because it's like a coffin?
That is, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, got it.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm not above woo-woo-y things or whatever. Like I'm trying to make sense of the world, same as everybody else. I'm just like, I don't know where my like proclivities land on this. Like there are probably like weird things like collapsing reality. Like if you think hard enough, I don't know why I put it on the amp. I wind up in there through like a sciencey sounding thing, but is full bullshit woo-woo thing. I'm like, well, the amplitude, so quantum mechanics, and then that's how I'm gonna make sure I get out of jury duty. Like, you know.
Yeah. Maybe your woo-woo is big science thoughts.
Overgeneralizing science to help me feel like I understand.
Yeah, you're
things.
like, I get that for sure.
You totally don't look at me or ask me any important questions about it.
Maybe the spirit of this complex conversation is we don't actually know anything, and we're all trying to figure things out to the best of our ability. And sometimes, even though we come from a couple different directions, we kind of get to similar places, and maybe we hold on to that and it becomes a wisdom we hold on to. And maybe some of those are still yet unexplained and we're still figuring it out. And maybe we need to toe the line of not making everything a rule too quickly, but also not judging things that we don't understand. Maybe it's just that it can't be explained or won't be for a little bit, and it doesn't make it untrue.
That felt like a pretty good wrap-up corner.
There you go.
As you were saying, I thought of that like generational, like your hero what is like the 4 generation cycles of like you're a hero, you're a wanderer. Like, do you know of this one?
No.
It's basically like a guy wrote a history book about how like there's this 4 generations cycle that repeats itself.
Strauss-Howe generational theory.
Yeah, 20-year cycles of when you're born and like what that and feels very similar to like all of these other things. It's like generations are hard to make sense of. So like, what about this? Does that sound good?
Does this
anybody? Any takers?
Thought? Maybe we end this episode with our favorite thing, a list of all synonyms for ideas that are unfinished. So like a theorem, a postulate, a rule, a hypothesis. There's a lot of these. A doctrine, a formula, a law, a postulate, a theory. Did we already say that? Kind of boring.
A theory. You got theorem.
Oh yeah, theory there.
Rule.
A thesis. Yeah. Proposition. A deduction. A dictum.
Ooh, a dictum.
That's pretty good. An axiom. Wow. And then what's really clever is when they get into just totally random words like razor.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And fence.
Yeah, you could just go for nouns.
Yeah. I got to get one.
Yeah, you do.
That's the wrap up.
That's the wrap. We gotta get yourself Joey's
theorem
balloon
cycle.
Okay.
The K-Meyer cycle.
Oh, cycle's a great one.
Yeah. Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by The Matrix. Matrices for sale.
As always, we'd like to thank our executive producer and theorem, Jess Vander.
Thank you. We'd also like to thank sound engineer and the theorem, Alex Guntel.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and the man who postulates ice cream, Les Jacobs.
And thank you to our production crew and theorems. Sarah Gilbert, Nora Mestridge, Christy Jensen, Amanda Medina, and Amy Waters.
As always, thanks, Len.
Thank you.
Special thanks
to just
Brandolini.
Yeah, just that's
Brandolini's
what I was
law. The bullshit asymmetry principle.
Oh.
The principle that states that it is harder to refute bullshit than to generate it.
That is a great point.
Therefore, there is always an asymmetry in the work of contending with bullshit.
I like the language. The amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than that needed to produce it. You have to write it a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to get law status.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It should be written as such.
That's where I'm missing.
That's what
That's why.
You can't get a law to your name until you say it like that.
All I got was a couple of Urban Dictionary
Yeah.
entries. Someday.
Dream bigger.
Yeah. Thanks, Brandolini. I just imagine like an older Italian man like sitting in a piazza, like smoking a cigarette and drinking a glass of wine and just being like, bullshit. What's with that?
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually formulated in January 2013, so it may have been a relatively recent piazza.
I didn't say when, but
okay,
I
at
just
some
think
point.
also I'm not getting enough piazzas in my life to be able to come up.
Yeah. Oh, did you know there's another razor?
Which razor?
Hitchens?
Scooter.
Hitchens' razor is an epistemological razor that serves as a general rule for rejecting certain knowledge claims. Relatedly, it states what can be asserted without evidence can also be dismissed without evidence.
Is this Christopher Hitchens?
It is.
There you go.
There it is. Author and journalist, and wrote a book about
Contrarian.
religion. Yeah, interesting. Wow. Well, I don't know anything about that, but I don't know anything about anything, and I guess that's what this episode is about.
Well, we did it. Love you.
Okay,
Mean it. Bye.